We talked about the NFL owners changing up some stuff with their owners meetings back a few months ago, and they were going to vote on stuff. And this week they did some stuff. Thursday Night Football flex scheduling, that was finally a thing. But the one that's kind of creating the most buzz that Andy Reid actually spoke about this week was the kickoff, the new rule. So NFL owners voted this week for a 1-year trial of an enhanced touchback rule that would give the receiving team the ball at its own 25 with the fair catch of a kickoff anywhere behind that yard line. The rule change had major pushback from players and coaches. It'll prompt more teams to squib and do corner kicks that make fair catches impossible. So there's going to be kind of more strategy, I guess, behind the kickoffs and special teams. And you come from a special teams coach as yourself, so I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this. But the NFL said its statistical models predict the return rate for kickoffs in 2023 under the new rule will drop from 38% to 31%. And that the rate of concussions, which is the main reason why they're doing this, the rate of concussions on the sport's most dangerous play will be reduced by 15%. So that's a good thing.
Yes, great thing.
Andy Reid, so this is where Andy Reid said about this whole thing. So his whole thing is it's going to be kind of a slippery slope with it. So he was asked about it during his press conference this week, and he said, my thing is, where does it stop, right? We start taking pieces, and we'll see how this goes. But you don't want to take too many pieces away, or you'll be playing flag football. So, JD, from a player's point of view, from a special teams coach's point of view, what do you think about this 1-year trial of this rule?
Okay, so I get why they're doing it, right? If it's we're trying to prevent concussions, that I definitely understand. Okay, it seems like it has a very meaningful reason why they're doing it. Okay, it's purposeful, and so that's wonderful. It's wonderful thinking about that. Then you start thinking, NFL says something like this, but then it's like they're talking out the side of their neck, right? They're talking out of both sides of their mouth almost. Well, both sides of their neck, we used to say. And it's like, okay, we want to prevent the concussions and whatnot. But yeah, last year we put in an extra game, then we talk about the Thursday night games and stuff like that. Before it was supposed to be like, 14 days. Now they switched that up a little bit. So sometimes it's like, oh, we're trying to do the right thing for the players. Okay. But then the next hand is like, okay, well, we're going to add something else to the game too, they potentially, harm players. Look, I think it's noble. I think it's a noble cause, what they're trying to do. Yes. Is it going to affect the game? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I could see the argument of like, man, look, you talking about fair catching, down there getting at the 25-yard line. Teams that don't have good returners and stuff, they're going to be trying to do it all the time. I mean, it's to them, it's like, hey, look, our offense, our special team sucks. So, yeah, let's get on the 25-yard line. Let's go ahead and do that. But, as a special teams coach, definitely get creative on how we're going to do that, okay? And maybe, you try to get guys, force them to, to run the football out. You try to do things, at least, try to pin them. I think if you got a strong kicker, that's going to be your weapon, right? The thing is, if you got a deep returner, a good return man, you're still going to try to do your best to try to keep the ball away from him as much as possible. I mean, that's what you're trying to do. But, man, I just think there's something icky about it. The fair catching while you're in the field of play within 5 or 10 yards. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Like, special teams coach, I'm like, look, you need to return the football. And if you have a chance and opportunity in getting the ball, and let's say they squib it and short kick it, you might be able to break out on one. That's where I'm looking at it. I'm like, look, we know what's going to happen with this new advent of this rule. And so when you have that, man, you got to take advantage of it. Teams are going to try to take advantage of it. I mean, I would. Immediately, I'm thinking, okay, how are we going to be able to utilize this to our benefit? And so, I can see why Andy's pissed about it. I absolutely see it. And this is going to look horrible for NFL football. It's going to look horrible. Because you're going to be like, what is the guy doing? Fair catching. And then you got to think in your head, oh, my God, okay, it's a new rule, right? So that's going to be the kind of the tainted part about it, seeing it that way. So
when he says slippery slope, I know there's many ways to look at that, right? It could be more rules they've taken out of the NFL. But do you see from a point of view from a football purist, if this works out in the NFL, could you see that as a slippery slope where that could go down to the lower levels? College could be start doing that. Maybe high school will have this some kind of implementation with that. Where do you see when you talk about slippery slope? Do you look at it from the point of view of they can start taking more rules out of the NFL, or like this kind of rule will just go down to the youth leagues and the high school leagues?
I mean, I think you that would be concerning, of course, because most teams and colleges and high school mimic what they do in the NFL. And so when you're talking about guys being safe, and if it's what this whole rule is all about, if it's about safety, right? Safety concern. We're all about safety concern, right? That's without a doubt the number one thing, a priority for guys to be safe in the NFL. Then you would absolutely look for college and high school to adopt the same rules. They kind of do things now with in high school. Like the coach that doesn't like to, he always onside kicks it. You know what I mean? Like they're doing things like that. I see a lot of that in high school now. And so I can't tell you the last time, I've been in a lot of high school games this past year, that I've seen a guy get knocked out on kickoff, at least, returning to football. So I don't know. But I would think they would adopt the same thing. Absolutely. I think it would be, because it's like, hey, man, we're talking about safety here, safety for the players. And truly, we said this, could the motive be where they don't want to pay out on guys with the CTE and all those different things? Maybe sure. I'm sure that has something to do with it. But it is hopefully player safety, and that's the main thing. Nobody wants to have to give money for somebody being hurt. And we don't want guys being hurt. So that's a good part of it. Obviously, the energy of the game, the excitement of it. Obviously, people was coming out for kickoffs. You want to see the kickoff and the returns. The opening kickoff. Like, I remember coming to games, and that's what you was looking for, right? That first kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd is going crazy. Everything is just wow. The energy in the stadium is just incredible. It's bananas. And then a guy fair catches it. It's like, oh, wow. Like, wow. It's just almost like the letdown, right?
Pretty anticlimactic.
Yeah, the anticipation. So, yeah, man, that's going to be, like I said before, the disappointing part of it, because you're going to have a lot of that. And that, look, we'll have conversations, especially coach. Scenarios: when to bring it out, when not to bring it out. When to bring it out, when not to bring it out. I'll try to even have some fakes. Hey, referee, what is a fair catch? How can we do it? Is there a way we can make it look like we're fair catching and we don't? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I start thinking about a lot of different ways how to utilize that, because teams start looking at it. You'll make sure when the guy's coming down, you got to make sure the guy's hand is up to fair catch it. You got to make sure of that. So, yeah, man, that's gonna be a little different. It's gonna be different.
Do you think they say it's a 1-year trial? Do you think this becomes permanent?
Unless you just get so much pushback from it, so much, then it probably will be permanent. That's why I look at it. Yeah. That's why Andy said that. Andy said that because he knew what was going on. He's like, look, man, we could do this 1-year trial. We know how that works. 1-year trials usually mean forever, or that's going to be the rule, right? So I know that's why he's upset with it. I know that's why he's upset. And he should be, because it's like now, make a determination on as far as like what your option for teams to do, how they're going to, like I said, utilize a weapon. But yeah, man, I think slippery slope is a great way of saying it. The only thing you have to think is like, look, let's just hope they don't change too many rules where it isn't just flag football now, right? Mm. But like I said before, if it's about player safety, 100% for it, no doubt about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, from that point of view, I agree with it. It's just what you talk about, talking out of both sides of your mouth. For one thing, you're all about player safety. For the other thing, you're okay with giving people 28 days now, but to play games on short weeks, 3 or 4 days with guys, it's not proper. I mean, there's a reason why we had week to week for football, not 4 days of rest. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. Having teams, man, it just, and of course, when they started, it just sounded terrible. It sounded horrible. It's like, look, you ain't worried about guys' safety. You talking about now, at least in practice, you can at least try to gauge what the guys do. You can control that, that environment. When you get out there on the field on Sunday and Thursday, you talking about flying down. This is 100 miles an hour trying to take somebody's head off. You just expect like there's going to be probably more injuries and stuff, right? And then obviously the guys trying to recuperate too. That's another thing. So, but like now, like you said, it's changed. You almost got a month between this whole Thursday thing and whatnot. It's not as bad. It's not.
Yeah.
Guys you can deal with that. You can make an adjustment then. So.
Yeah, but there's a reason why when we first started the NFL, right? There was a reason why we only had the only Thursday night game was Thanksgiving game every year. So there was that reason. So
right.
But yeah, I wanted to hear your take on that because you have a unique perspective as being a former player and being a special teams coach. So I was just curious.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. I just look. Like I said, I want to make sure that player safety is the priority. That's what we're speaking about, and that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But it just, we're going to take away from, some of the luster of, the anticipation of the kickoff and all these guys, running it back. So when we see Dante Hall back there, rubbing his hands, getting ready to return one, you knew what it was all about. So teams are definitely going to try to. They're definitely going to try to utilize this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you can pooch kick it. That's another thing. Pooch it, get it high up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Kickers can shoot. They, man, are very, very skillful in what they do. And so if you don't have the leg to get it deep, get it as high up in the air so to get down, so you can corral around a guy so he doesn't, return the ball.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And squib kicks too. So one of your upbacks, one of your tight ends, your fullbacks have to pick it up.
Oh yeah, well that absolutely sure. That's a whole lot of those. So now what you may have to do, man, you might have to try, switch out some of the personnel.
That's true.
Yeah, the tight ends are a lot faster now. So I say tight ends, hey, kick it to us.
Yeah,
we'll take it and we'll run it and we'll get 20, 30 yards on it. So please do kick it to the tight ends.
Yeah, the squib. I mean, as far as the squibbing, you're going to see more of that. That I was always a big proponent of using the squib kick in Madden when I used to play all the time. I was a huge squib kick guy. Loved it. When we see that more, and I used to wonder when I was young. I was like, how come I never see? I never see this in games. This is always an option, but I never see that during games. But now we'll be seeing more of that probably.
Oh yeah.
Hi everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.